Happy Saturday and welcome to Ghost Chat and other paranormal things. I'm your host, Electric Elisa, and we have tonight one of our new hosts, Jody, and she's going to
Hi.
share some stories um, uh, that her mom shared with her and some of her own experiences with the paranormal.
Hello, hello. Jody here. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me on.
You are welcome. I am excited to have you join us.
Well, now my mom is 76 and she's been having experiences since she's been about 10, some of which she remembers and some of which she shared with me. But the first experience that she shared was when she grew up in a big white old house in Mountain Lake, Minnesota. She was 10 years old. Her sister was 17 at the time, and her sister's best friend was killed in a car accident, unfortunately. And my mom shared that when she went past a certain front hall closet in the house, it was the one that was facing her sister's friend that was killed. It was in a foyer basically. She could smell lilacs, or excuse me, lilies all the time. And they just did happen to have really big lilies at her sister's friend's funeral, and she just kept smelling them in the closet. And it was the closet that faced, like I said, that faced her friend's house that was killed in the car wreck. So her friend was my mom's sister's friend was only like 17 or 18 when she died in a car accident. So that's kind of sad, but that's just an unusual little story that she shared with me. Um, she never slept in her sister Marilyn's room, the one that's 17. The stairs to the attic were there, and my mom was always afraid of the attic. She thought she heard whispering always coming from there, which is kind of strange. She also saw shadows in the basement all the time when she was a kid, and lights would come on and off constantly. Um, Something strange about the freezers in the basement was that the items inside always seemed to rearrange themselves. They weren't in the same. I have to let my cat go by. They weren't in the same area that they were before, or in the same order that they were before. And her mom, my grandma, claimed that she never messed with anything in that freezer. So she doesn't really know exactly how that happened. But something about that downstairs freezer, and my mom didn't like that basement anyway. Um, and the house, she moved to another house when she was 15. It was a house that I remember that I went to visit my grandma and grandpa, and in that house years later, her nephew Mark, who's my cousin, both said that they saw a mist upstairs that seemed to form into a person. They couldn't tell if the person was a man or a woman, but it was just some mist upstairs. And I always got a really strange feelings and scary dreams of that upstairs. Nothing ever happened to me, but I just had weird dreams and things about that upstairs house where my mom moved when she was 15. Um, when my mom grew older and married my dad, she had a, my mom's always had kind of a form of ESP. She and my dad used to play card games where he would have the back of the deck to her, and my mom would be able to tell him 99% of the time, practically, what the suit and the card was. And my dad was just amazed that she was able to do that. She's always just been able to have some extrasensory perception as far as that goes. Um, in 1994, there was a huge Northridge earthquake in California, and my mom said she felt that while living in Kansas. She called her sister in California but couldn't get through. A voice came on saying that the power was out, the cell phone coverage couldn't get through because of the earthquake. But my mom said she totally felt that earthquake, not literally, but she knew that there was some kind of disturbance in California where her sister was. This is that same sister, by the way, whose friend passed away in a car wreck. So they kind of seem like they have a connection. Um, 1 week prior to my mom leaving Lawrence, she went to the Elizabeth Watkins Museum in Lawrence, Kansas, and took the stairs. And when she was halfway up, she heard heavy breathing behind her. It was really weird. She thought for a moment that I was with her. I didn't actually go with her on this trip. She kept going up the stairs and she kept hearing the heavy breathing. So she turned around and no one was there. She knows she heard breathing. Um, on another visit, when I was with her, we both took the elevator, but it didn't work, of course. The door opened, but no lights came on inside, finally. My mom was a little bit afraid to go, but I told her it would be okay. I vaguely remember this. We went inside and the doors closed real suddenly. The elevator, of course, stopped between floors, of course, and we were both scared at that time. I don't remember the elevator stopping. Mom hit the emergency button, and someone did answer and said that the elevator had never done that before, and he came and he helped us out. And we reached either the second or third floor. Mom stepped off the floor, and the guide came offering to show us around. A guide came to show us around, and she said that she would just look around herself. And he also told her that Elizabeth Watkins, who that museum was named after, her favorite perfume was lavender, and if we smelled it, she was there. So Mom and I began to make our way back
Hmm.
downstairs, where she found a big book at the pulpit of the entrance. I think a book about the museum and the history of it. So she went through the pages and she smelled lavender really strong. I don't know if they put it in the book or something. I don't know if anyone's skeptical about that. But she stepped back when she smelled that, and the pages of the book started actually turning by themselves. She swears that they turned by themselves, and eventually they stopped. Mom then looked around the room she was in and saw a picture of Elizabeth Watkins holding a child in a picture. And I swear to God, Mom said the child in the picture turned and looked at her from the picture. She thought the child looked just like my mom. She told the guide, who was still there, that her mother's maiden name was Elizabeth Watkins, and my mom's maiden name, my mom's my mom's name. Sorry, I said maiden name. My mom's name, my grandma's name was Elizabeth. Also, the guy told her that every woman who was coming to the museum whose mother's name was Elizabeth also saw their face in that child in that picture with Elizabeth Watkins. So that's
Wow,
kind of
that's wild.
that's a creepy one. I vaguely remember that. Yeah, not really. And lastly, in the condo where my mom and I live currently, mom and I see a lot of shadows, a lot of shadow people. It seems like a hot spot in our condo where we're at is like a triangle. I call it the Bermuda Triangle. It includes our living room, dining room, and kitchen. Or excuse me, our living room, dining room, and bathroom.
So
And
the triangle where shadows live.
yeah, exactly. We see shadows all the time. My mom sees them, and I see
Ugh.
them. We also witnessed a fan, I'm not kidding, turning on by itself one day. It was not even plugged in. That fan just came on. Um, and then there was a time, this is weird, where mom had been looking everywhere for a certain book. One of her books she was looking everywhere for. She found it on the floor in front of where she was walking. She was just walking, in the book just like it fell off a shelf right in front of her. That was freaky. She has no
Yeah.
idea how it got there. Um, Also, several times while we were living here, mom was downstairs and heard my voice. So she began talking to me, thinking I was right behind her. She said I sounded like I was right behind her. When she turned around, I wasn't there. I was upstairs the whole time. But she swears that she heard my voice right behind her. That's weird. I'm a ghost and I'm alive. Um, she also has a lot of ESP regarding her friend. She's felt her friend Laurel like something is wrong. She just knows, and she calls her, and Laurel's like, "How did you know that I was in a crisis?" She said, "I don't know. I just felt it." She's also very good, by the way, my mom, of guessing the sex of babies, whether or not they're going to be a boy or a girl. So
Wow.
those are my mom's stories. Kind of weird.
Well, no, but that's interesting because I don't know. Some of those are kind of creepy.
I think so. The child in
Uh,
the picture, what the heck? And I believe
yeah.
her.
That
Mom doesn't really hallucinate things when she's
no.
not on
I
drugs.
remember what she was like, and
Hmm.
so yeah.
These things kind of gravitate toward her. I don't know, things of this nature kind of
Maybe
gravitate toward
she's
her.
but maybe she has, people talk about people having a light, that attracts things. I
Yeah.
mean, I've had people say that about me because of my
Hmm.
past experiences, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think some people do. I think everyone has psychic ability to an extent, but I think some, it's kind of like you're in a
Hmm.
tunnel, and some people just have a brighter flashlight in the tunnel. Some people just see little things here and there, and some people, like my mom or like yourself, can really see a lot more in that dark tunnel of shadows. That other
Hmm.
people can. I don't know.
I Yeah, I think my stuff has always been kind of like mm, a sensing of something, a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um Fortunately, none of that going on here at this house.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep it that way. I don't want anything
Yeah.
coming here. Or being unearthed or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that could be good and that could be bad both ways.
Right. Um but yeah, I only know about the one time we were at your when we were teenagers and we were playing with a
Yeah.
Ouija board and she asked you if what you were doing, what we were doing or something because she said she felt like someone hit her in the head with a hammer.
Yeah. We were playing with the Ouija board, I think, or something. We
Yeah,
were having a
we were.
séance. I think we were having yeah, something. I have a interesting thing about a Ouija board later too, but yeah, I think we were either playing with Ouija board or doing a séance, and she felt like someone hit her in the back of the head, and she was wondering what we were doing out here. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why.
I remember it was we were playing with you had a Ouija board
Yes,
and we were playing with it and
I
not
don't think that's a
much
good
was
idea.
going on with it.
Right? Not really. And I
Mhm.
don't know how that thing works. And a lot of people I hear don't want anything to do with it. But
Right. Brian doesn't want anything to do with it, so
well, it's probably smart. And
yeah.
I have an app on my phone, actually, Ouija board app on my phone, and I do have an interesting experience later on that I'm going to
Ooh.
get to about that. It's
Okay.
scary. It's kind of scary. But I have a couple of things that I myself have experienced. I grew up in this house in Lawrence, which you've been to, from
Mhm.
ages 3 to age 20. And when I was really little, and I might have told you this, I saw these beings in my bedroom when I was really little. I was perfectly awake, but I could see them at night. The only thing I could think of to describe them was that they looked like bloated people. They just looked like people that were bloated. It was really weird. My mom never saw them, and she said it was my imagination, but there's no way because it was more than once. And they were there wasn't like hundreds of them, but there was like maybe 10 of them in my room at one time. I don't know how they all fit because they were all bloated, but it was just so freaky. Kind of like when people die and they bloat up. It sounds so funny now, but
Ew.
at the time
Ew.
I was scared. They didn't look dead, but they looked bloated. Um, Also, when I was little, my dad was a firefighter, and once he had to leave in the middle of the night to fight a fire in Lawrence. After he left, I moved from my bed to the sofa and fell asleep. Mom said she came and check on me later, and that I was talking in my sleep about men falling into a fire. And then we learned later that 3 firemen fell into the fire and died. Fortunately, none of them were my dad, but apparently I was having a dream about that. And that's what my mom said I was saying in my sleep anyway.
Yeah, I
So that's
remember
freakish.
you telling me that story. That one I
Mm-hmm.
remember. That's
That's a
creepy.
weird one. Um,
Mhm.
when I moved to Ottawa, Kansas, I lived in a 100-year-old house. It was built. Oh, you visited there.
Yeah.
It was built in 1929 or something like that. It wasn't quite 100. Um, the entrance to the attic of the ceiling, right before you walk into my bedroom, there was an entrance to an attic in the ceiling there. If you used a ladder, you could get to it. Everyone that came over, including me, felt really creeped out whenever we walked under that door that led to the attic. Just a creepy ass feeling. And then one morning, no kidding, while I was sleeping, I heard a loud noise, and when I came out of the bedroom, I discovered my ceiling had collapsed, exposing the entire attic. That was a fun thing for the insurance to help me with, but my
Uh,
entire ceiling had collapsed and the attic was exposed. And it was just so weird because everyone always had a weird feeling walking under that door to the attic. I don't know what ever went on in there. One day, one of my ex's sisters came over with her boyfriend. He had fallen asleep in the car, so she left him there while he came inside. While she came inside, I'm sorry. A few minutes later, when she had her back to the door, she heard a man's voice and turned around to talk to it, thinking it was her boyfriend at the door. No one was there. She knows she heard a man's voice at the door of that house, a 100-year-old house. He was still in the car sleeping. I don't know if she knows what he said exactly, but it was a man's voice. Um,
oh.
Everyone that's come over there, including me, always got weird, foreboding feelings from the house. I always felt an intense sadness in the house, like someone there had gone through something traumatic. And after a few years when I lived there, I found out my dad died while I was living in the house. So I
Hmm.
always felt a real sadness there, like someone else had some terrible news, maybe while they lived there as well. It was strange. But moving on to the condo where my mom and I live now, there's a couple more interesting experiences. Um, we do see a lot of shadows. Both my mom and I see them. One day, this is weird. In the reflection of the TV, I could see a person in the kitchen. As I was sitting in the living room, I saw someone in the kitchen. I assumed it was my mom's boyfriend. I saw somebody plain as day. And then my mom said, "He's in the bedroom." I said, "No, he's not. He's in the kitchen." I was wrong. I got up to look at there, and then he was not in the kitchen. And I know that I saw someone. I'm telling you, the kitchen, the dining room, and the bathroom is the weirdest Bermuda Triangle in this place. There's always something going
Yeah.
on. One night
That's
before I
really
went to,
creepy, though.
it is. I don't know. Well, my mom thinks, because it happens in the kitchen a lot, that it could be her mother or her sister who are both crazy about cooking. And then her brother, who's her twin, by the way, passed away in his 40s when they were both in their 40s, and he was kind of a jokester. So he could be visiting. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. One night before I went to sleep, I passed by a big mirror in my room. I mentioned last night that I have these mirrors in my room. I passed by the mirror in my room before I went to sleep, and just being silly, I made faces in it at the mirror, although I couldn't even see myself. That night, when I got into bed, I suddenly felt like I was being attacked by something unseen. I just felt paralyzed except for my feet, and it felt like something with claws was attacking it. So I began kicking at it. It wasn't my cat Einstein. He was asleep in the pillow next to me. And I read sometime later to never look into a mirror in the dark. And I did, and I was making funny faces into it and stuff. And I swear it felt like I was being attacked. I remember kicking at something that was attacking my feet. It felt like claws. Now there's no claw marks on my feet, but you know what you feel or whatever.
Hmm.
I was awake. Um,
Um, Mirrors are creepy anyway.
Mirrors are creepy. You got to be careful with them. I've heard, I think I told you this last night, but I heard that if you stare into a mirror long enough, your brain gets bored and it starts to distort your face and turn you into a demon, or I don't know, it just starts to distort your face and makes you look weird. And if you look into a mirror when you're dreaming, you can tell if you're dreaming because you won't look like yourself in the mirror.
Uh,
Um, Also, what's weird, I heard when you're dreaming,
what if you do look like yourself
then I don't
when
know.
you?
Maybe you're not dreaming. Maybe you're awake. I don't know. It seems like when I've looked into a mirror when I'm dreaming, I don't look like myself. I've noticed I have these big black eyes, or my face doesn't look right, or something's weird. And if you think of this while you're dreaming, you won't. But if you look at a clock, and then you look away, and then you look back at the clock in a dream, the time won't be the same. It'll be a different time, and that's how
Oh,
you know also if you're dreaming. It's weird,
and I
but
think I had read also something about not having mirrors facing each other in the bedroom or anywhere,
yeah, I think I've heard that too.
and
I've heard the same thing.
that always makes me think. Okay, the mirrors are facing each other and they're going to do something. So is it? I mean, then it makes me
Like
think
they're
of,
talking to each other or something.
yeah, or like Wonder Twin powers activate, form
Yeah,
of, a
yeah,
demon, or
yeah, exactly.
um, shape
Demon
of,
powers activate.
I don't know, fur.
Luckily, I,
I don't.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I have two big mirrors in my room. They don't face each other, so I'm
I
not.
guess you're
They were
safe
here. They were here when I moved into my mom's room, so I live with her. And this is the Ouija board one. I have an app on my phone where you can play the Ouija board, and it actually moves by itself. It you don't have to touch it or anything. You can, but it moves around by itself. It's just an app, so I don't take it too seriously. But once I was playing with it on my app, when I kind of made fun of it, I was like, asking it stupid questions and mocking it, basically. And it spelled out, "Be careful, Jody." So
then. Okay.
that kind of that
Not.
freaked me out just a little bit. I haven't played with it since.
Uh-uh.
So that's
Yeah,
my
I
only
think I would avoid that.
yeah, that's my only Ouija board experience. But I mean, I've had other experience with Ouija boards, but I don't know that when they're made by Hasbro, I just tend to not really take them that seriously.
And we are having a bit of
So I don't
technical
know,
difficulties here.
but I wouldn't mess with them. Oh, I think you're frozen. Oh no, we're at the end of the thing and you've frozen. Come back, Elisa, come back. Hold on, I'm going to turn this off for just a second.